Like a lotus flower, you will sprout through the soil, reaching up through the dark water towards the sunlight, stretching to the surface where you will beautifully bloom. If you feel lost, disappointed, hesitant, or weak, return to yourself, to who you are, here and now, and when you get there, you will discover yourself, like a lotus flower in full bloom, even in a muddy pond, beautiful and strong. The lotus flower is a reminder of the beauty that comes from change, the magic that a new beginning brings, and the seed of potential that's buried in the most unlikely places. Out of the mud of your fears, struggles, pain, and confusion, the lotus flower of your inner heart will spontaneously grow. The sacred lotus not only creates a relaxing sensation of euphoria, and increases vibrations of the heart, but also triggers genetic memory, and good memory with an awakened heart ushers wisdom. The lotus flower blooms most beautifully from the deepest and thickest mud. Water surrounds the lotus flower, but does not wet its petals. The lotus flower sees only filth all its life, yet turns beautiful. May I live like the lotus at ease in the muddy water. The lotus flower is troubled at the sun's resplendent light, with sunken head, and sadly she dreamily waits for the night. No mud, no lotus. A flower can't grow without rain. Too much rain and it drowns. And yet the most beautiful of the lotus flowers are the ones that grow in the deepest mud. Be like a lotus. Let the beauty of your heart speak. Be grateful to the mud, water, air and the light. As the lotus rises on its stalk unsoiled by the mud and water, so the wise one speaks of peace and is unstained by the opinions of the world. Fate is but a dying wish of the world that is beyond control. Like a single lotus flower, the future blossoms. Upon its petals, two people shall be free. As a lotus flower is born in water, grows in water and rises out of water to stand above it unsoiled, so I, born in the world, raised in the world, having overcome the world, live unsoiled by the world. There are still some terrible clichés in the presentation of Indian fiction. The lotus flower. The hennaed hands. In mainland Europe, people still slap these images on my books and I go bananas. If you know how to make good use of the mud, you can grow beautiful lotuses. Every struggle is like mud. There are always some lotus seeds waiting to sprout. Seeing the mud around a lotus is pessimism, seeing a lotus in the mud is optimism. From the mud of adversity grows the lotus of joy. The lotus comes from the murkiest water but grows into the purest thing. The flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all. Every day, let our words blossom lotus in someone's heart. Out of suffering, a lotus flower of happiness can open. I wish I could see a cherry blossom or a lotus flower. Where could they be? When the mind is silent like a lake, the lotus blossoms. Enlightenment is blossoming, the thousand-petaled lotus flower on the top of the head. Like the lotus flower that is born out of mud, We must honor the darkest parts of ourselves and the most painful of our life's experiences, because they are what allow us to birth our most beautiful self. On the path of self-realization, there is no one big awakening, but many along the way of varying degrees, some small, some big, and each one of them is like the lotus flower, which grows out of muddy waters. Like the lotus flower, business blooms in the mud, and in the dark of night. The lotus is an amazing creation of God because, for all of its beauty, it is the sum total of work performed in a mess. There is the mud, and there is the lotus that grows out of the mud. We need the mud in order to make the lotus. It's like growing lotus flowers. You cannot grow lotus flowers on marble. You have to grow them on the mud. Without mud, you cannot have lotus flowers. Without suffering, you have no way to learn how to be understanding and compassionate.